She deliberately injured herself and poured some water into the calabash and drank from it. And immediately the wound was healed. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Ekanem. She grew up with her father and her wicked stepmother Yejide. Ekanem was a hardworking girl and she loved and respected everyone around her. When Ekanem's father died, her stepmother Yejide drove her out of the house. Ekanem had to go and live by herself at a very young age. One day, when Ekanem went to the market, she saw the villagers beating an elderly woman and dragging her through the village. She asked her friend Bola about what was going on, and Bola told her that the woman was caught in the act of witchcraft and had been sentenced to die in the forest. Ekanem felt pity for her and decided to follow the crowd to the forest. When they were about to carry out the order, the woman looked at Ekanem and saw that she was sad. She immediately knew that she had a kind heart, and she said to her, "Go into my house. You will find a calabash. It is very different from the others and unique. When you see it, you will know. Take it and use it as you please. But be careful. If you use it for a wrong reason, it will also ruin your life. It is the calabash of death and life. And do not..." Before she could finish, the others were taken out, and she took her last breath. It was very strange because only Ekanem was able to hear her. Ekanem asked Bola if she heard what the woman said, and she told her she didn't. The woman was taken deep into the forest to be buried. That night, Ekanem could not sleep. She thought of everything the woman said. The next day, Ekanem decided to visit the house. It was an old hut and everyone was forbidden from going there. Ekanem quietly sneaked into the house and began to look for the calabash. Not too long, she saw it, and it was as the woman described. She was curious to know what exactly was inside. She took the calabash and shook it, but nothing was inside. Ekanem felt she had wasted her time and she became angry. Just when she was about to leave, she dashed her feet against the calabash and fell and injured her hand. Ekanem started bleeding. In anger, she threw the calabash against the wall, but surprisingly, it did not break. But rather, her wounded hand was healed. This was so strange, and Ekanem realized that truly the calabash was special. She quickly rearranged the room and left with the calabash. The next day, she went to the market as usual to help Iyabimpe sell akara. When she was done selling, she went to see her friend Bola. When she got to Bola's house, she found out that Bola's mother was on her sick bed and Bola was sad. They've tried all the herbs the herbalist gave them, but there was no improvement on her health. Ekanem felt so sad. She encouraged Bola and gave her from the akara Iyabimpe gave her earlier to eat, and she went home. On her way, an idea came to her. If the strange calabash can heal my wound, That means he can also cure this poor woman. I must look for a way to heal her without anyone finding out, she said to herself. Ekanem hurriedly went home. She took the calabash and wrapped it with her clothes. But she stopped and thought to herself, if this heals her, they must ask me what it is, and eventually they would find out that it is the calabash and accuse me of witchcraft. Ekanem stayed in her room and stared at the calabash for a very long time till an idea came to her. She deliberately injured herself and poured some water into the calabash and drank from it. And immediately the wound was healed. Ekanem took from the water and went to Bola's house. She gave some of the water to Bola's mother and immediately she was healed. They all started rejoicing and soon the villagers gathered and they asked how it happened. And Bola told them it was Ekanem that gave her mother some herbs. The villagers were amazed and they thanked Ekanem. Ekanem was filled with joy and she went home very happy. The next day, she took some of the water from the calabash and secretly sprinkled some on the akara Iya Bimpe was making. Everyone who tasted the akara would come back for more, and she finished selling the akara within the first hour of making them. Iya Bimpe was so happy and she gave Ekanem a good reward that day. That evening, she thought of ways to use the calabash to improve the lives of people without them finding out who gave her the power. She decided to start selling agbo, a local traditional herb. She bought plenty of calabash and made a lot of agbo, which she mixed with water from the calabash. She hawked it round the village, and everyone who drank from the herbs were immediately healed. Ekanem was so happy because she was about to do something good for the people, and she made very good money from it. Some people even rewarded her with food items whenever they have fresh harvest. And Ekanem will share them with the needy in the village. Things became very good for her, and a lot of villagers became proud of her. Not too long, her stepsister Yewande became very sick, and the villagers told Yejide that it was only Ekanem that could save her. Yejide went to Ekanem and began to cry and beg her to forgive her and save Yewande. Ekanem, with so much compassion, felt pity for her and gave her some herbs. When Yewande drank the herbs, she was well and her health went back to how it was before. They both fell on their knees and thanked Ekanem. Ekanem forgave Yejide and they all reunited as a family. Everything started working well for Ekanem, and she moved out of the old lonely hut into a very good hut. But her success did not sit well with her best friend Bola. She became very jealous of Ekanem and was so eager to know where her powers came from. She began to spy on her day and night. And one day, she saw how Ekanem was making the herbs with the calabash. Bola was shocked and she patiently waited for Ekanem to leave the house. When Ekanem was far gone, Bola took the calabash and quietly left the hut. She took it home and began to do exactly what Ekanem was doing. She told her mother about it, and her mother joined her and helped her to keep the calabash. The next day, when Ekane was about to make some herbs, she could not find the calabash. She searched everywhere for it. She could not find it. Ekane cried, but her tears could not bring back the calabash. She could not ask people about it because they would find out where the power came from. Very soon, people started seeking for her help, but she told them that the special plant she was using for the herbs had withered, and she needed some months for the young ones to reproduce. Not too long, Bola and her mother started the trade. They collected huge amounts of money from people in order to treat them. Depending on the severity of the illness, Bola would demand for plot of land, basket of yam, and other huge items. One day, Ekane summoned some courage and asked Bola about the calabash. At first, Bola denied, but later she admitted that she took the calabash. Ekane asked her to return it, but she refused and threatened to tell the villagers that Ekane was using witchcraft to heal them. Ekane was scared for her life, and so she decided to let it go, and she went home sad. Bola continued to extort people, and not too long, people started dying one after the other in the village, and their deaths were all connected to Bola's herbs. Immediately, Ekane remembered what the witch told her. If you use it for the wrong reason, it becomes the calabash of death. Ekane went to seek help from a very powerful native doctor. She told him everything about the calabash, and the native doctor told her to stop Bola immediately and take the calabash from her. Ekane ran to Bola's house and begged her to stop, but she refused. Ekane ran to the palace and told the king everything that had happened. And the king immediately sent some guards to go and arrest Bola and her mother and bring them straight to the palace. The guards did exactly what they were told and brought them to the palace alongside the calabash. When the king saw the calabash, he was surprised because it was what the chief priest was using before it was stolen by the witches many years ago, even before he was born. He ordered the guards to arrest Ekane as well for going into the witch's hut, and the royal calabash was handed over to the chief priests. When the day of the judgment came, the villagers pleaded with the king to forgive Ekane because she used it for good purpose, and she was not aware that it belonged to the royal palace. The king asked Ekane why she did that, and she told the king that she couldn't watch the villagers suffer any form of sickness, knowing she was capable of healing them. When the king heard this, he realized that Ekane had good heart, and he ordered her release and rewarded her. When the king asked the villagers about Bola and her mother, the villagers said bad things about them. The king banished them from the village and returned the villagers' properties back to them. Bola and her mother left the village in shame, and the calabash was returned back to the royal shrine, and the village never knew any sickness or harm ever again. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to this story. Please do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. And also comment where you are watching from below. We love and appreciate you. Bye.